Welcome everybody to the Miami Heat 2024 and 2025 season review. This is a video that I was gonna wait until a few days, but you know what? I decided to, let's just do it now, so this could be done and not have to worry about it another time. And also too that, who wants to talk about the Miami Heat after a really bad season? I'm kind of crazy for doing that, but let us get this done here. So the regular season final record is 37-45. That is 8 games under 500. The They ended in a 10th place in the Eastern Conference. The 10th place in the Eastern Conference, but because of those two play-in wins, They somehow somebody advance to 8th seed and play the Cleveland Cavaliers, and yeah, we don't want to talk about that no more. But yeah, this is a debate in Heat fans that was it worth going to the playoffs just to get squashed, embarrassed, humiliated in the first rounds of the playoffs, and you can make that debate yourself. I don't want to be that person to root against the Heat, but in some ways, a tiny bit of fashion, I kind of was. Now, here's why. Here's why. Before people jump down my throat, I wanted to have Pat Riley have a wake up call. I wanted Pat Riley to know, hey, listen, this is not a championship team that you're thinking of. This is not the right roster pieces that you came up with. And honestly, there should be a wake up call for the summer. And number two, this season was a lost cause anyway. And I hate to say that because I love the Heat. It's my basketball team. They always have great moments. But this is a lost cause. I mean, you think they deserve it from going on a losing streak? A really bad one? We'll talk about that. But anyway, 37-45, 8 games under 500. You can make your debates on, do they really deserve to make the playoffs? Should they have tanked to, get the draft picks? I don't know any of this would have mattered. I have no idea any of this was going to matter. But anyway, let us get these going. Let's get it going. So they had a pretty good preseason. The preseason they lost to Charlotte 111-108. They beat the Pelicans 101-99. They beat the Spurs 120-117. They beat the Hawks 121-11, and they beat the Grizzlies 114-109. And then the regular season would start. This is when Jimmy Butler still having fun with the Miami Heat. So this is still with Jimmy Butler on the team. And in fact, in the preseason, he had that old style, right? That was pretty cool. So anyway, the first game of the regular season was against the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic came into this town and absolutely wiped the floor against the Miami Heat, outscoring the Heat. Outscoring the Miami Heat with 58. I want to say 58-41. 58-41, if my math is correct. I'm not sure if it is, but you get the gist of it. This is the night that Pat Riley. Hang on a second. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Apparently, you can pause during the video. That's pretty cool. But anyway, this is when Pat Riley was getting his name on the court, because they said the Pat Riley court. That was the name that they have in place for him, and his speech was a really good speech. It was a really good speech during that night, and I remember what he said. He really thanked the teammates. He really thanked his players, the coaches. More importantly, he thanked his family. Family is very important in the Heat culture, right? Well, I don't know, man. And then the second half, yeah, we won't talk about that. It was a decent start of the game. It was a pretty exciting game. And then the Heat just kind of fell apart against the Magic team that wound up being in the playoffs and is still in the playoffs at this time. The first win, though, is against the Charlotte Hornets, 114-106. And this was the first win. Kind of like, yeah, this is the win that we like to see, and that type of thing. And then their only win against Detroit this season. We continue that win streak against Detroit, and we beat them 106-98. Detroit Pistons was still struggling, even early in the season, and And now at that point, like I was really shameful and embarrassed that we lost to the Pistons, and I kind of still am. But now looking back, I'm not as ashamed as I was no more because Detroit ended up being a really good basketball team, and they made it to the playoffs for a reason. I feel like they should have won Game 4. They were robbed from that, but this is not the Detroit Pistons video. You could go watch Crispy Flakes NBA. He talks Pistons basketball. The next game was against the Knicks. This is when Karl Anthony Towns had that monster game. First of many games in this season for the Miami Heat that they had a double digit lead blown in this game. All right, this is the start of many. So now you can count this number 1. That's the last game of October. And they go to Mexico City, where they had really no problems against the Washington Wizards, 118-98. By the way, the next game I forgot to mention was 116-107. All right, so we covered the Wizards. And we go back home. We should have won against the Kings. We really should have won against the Sacramento Kings. And it's really big thanks to Sabonis, who really athletic. This is at the time we call it a third quarter. Because the third quarter, they get scrambled and they just cannot get the basket in. Incredibly frustrating sequence there. And then when the fourth quarter became dire for the Miami Heat, they just could not get that last defense, and letting Sabonis get that offensive rebound and could not clear the way and not box out as Sabonis get that last shot. And that was awful. That was a sickening loss for the Miami Heat. And it should never come down to it. And it happened again. This is our first West Coast games. We go to Phoenix, and we lost to Phoenix after playing pretty good basketball against the Phoenix Suns. The issue is Kevin Durant was that reason that the Heat lost this game. Kevin Durant really played well against the Miami Heat. There was no third quarter, no fourth quarter blown leads. It was just, well, actually maybe there was. Yeah, there was. But the Suns were hot at that time. So we lost that game. I mean, what else is new? Then we go to Denver. Yeah, we don't talk about the Denver Nuggets. This was a bad performance by the Miami Heat. Just continues to struggle against the Denver Nuggets. I even recapped the game early because we knew it was going to lose. We were going to lose in that one. I mean, Nikola Jokic with another triple-double to add to his name against the Miami Heat. That is just not good. But then the Heat get a huge win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was when Nikola Jovic was the one that got that nice shot in, that tying layup and a go-ahead foul, which was the and one hit that he made that third point, that the Miami Heat were able to upset the Timberwolves in Minneapolis, because we don't actually win often in Minnesota, like ever. This was a big win for the Miami Heat, and I was excited about that. And then the first game of the NBA Cup, this is when the memes started. And I just had this feeling. I had this sickening feeling in my stomach that this was going to be an awful season, the way how this has gone for the Miami Heat. So the Detroit Pistons played great basketball. They beat the Miami Heat, but Tyler Hero made those crazy shots to tie it up, and it was looking good in overtime, and then they gave up a game-time basket, and then you know where this is going. Erik Spoelstra called that ridiculous timeout that they don't have, and he gets teed up for it because it's considered delay of game. This lost us the game. And I was humiliated. I was embarrassed by it. Everybody was embarrassed by it at the time. This is the game that they should have won. They should have won this game, and they didn't. You know why? Low IQ. Spoelstra forgot we don't have timeouts, and poor defending. Poor defending from the Miami Heat. The next game is also an NBA Cup, where it's against the Pacers, and Indiana Pacers had no answer against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat actually dominated this game. It was a tight first quarter, but then the second and third quarter, it got away with them. It got away, and Miami Heat never looked back. Bam Adebayo was balling. We got the first NBA Cup win, and all things settled. But then we never took the lead the next game against the Pacers. So that ain't good news. With this one, 119, 110. The other game is 124, 111, yada yada yada, and 123, 121 for the Detroit Pistons. So we go back home finally to play against the Philadelphia 76ers. This is the game where they introduced the Heat Culture blood jersey, a really sharp red jersey that I don't know why they didn't wear that for the rest of the season. Those are really good jerseys. I love that jersey. I love the color red in it. Heat Culture Blood Edition Red. And we made this joke that, hey, yeah, the Miami Heat should continue to wear this because they seem to win many games with that jersey on. Jimmy Butler had a great game. 30 points he has scored against the Sixers in this game. Had that takeoff alley-oop jam. And the Miami Heat had little to no issues, especially in the third quarter. In the third quarter, it really got away with the Sixers. And the Miami Heat dominated this game, 106-89 against the Sixers team. Then, a really hard-fought, competitive game against the Dallas Mavericks, where Butler scored 33 points, Kyrie Irving with 27 points. This is when the team was mostly healthy. This is without Luka Doncic. But the Miami Heat were able to win this game in overtime. The defense was well in place in overtime, and they win this game 123-118 in overtime. It was a great win. It was a really good win. But then the next game, NBA Cup against the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat were down. Miami Heat were down in this game by as many as 22 points. Almost made that comeback. They tied it up at one point, I believe, as far as I remember. But they just could not recap. They just could not get that lead. And we lost this game 106-103. This was a very disappointing loss. And Damian Lillard was balling. 37 points he scored. And to think what could have been with Damian Lillard with the Miami Heat, dude. It really would. This game, next game against the Charlotte Hornets, I was pissed. I was so pissed off with this game. This is the game that the Miami Heat should have no problem. But then in the fourth quarter, the Miami Heat were outscored 36-23. We still win this game 98-94. But LaMelo Ball all of a sudden was shooting hoops. Think about this. Fourth quarter, we go into the fourth quarter, 75-58. 75-58 was the third quarter score. The Hornets were able to capture the lead 94-92. You have no idea how angry I was. I was so angry. I was so disappointed with the Miami Heat. But thankfully, though, Tyler Hero got that big basket to potentially win it. And more free throws coming in with Kel'el Ware. And Kel'el Ware was, with the clutch situation, he got both free throws in. And the final score was 98-94. My point here is why I was so uncomfortable with this game. After the win, I was not happy with the win. Because this is a team you should blow out. But you let the game get away. This was the problem with the Miami Heat. They cannot close. They couldn't close at all. They blew it. But they still won this game, which I was not comfortable with. They get eliminated in NBA Cup, but they still have to play one more to play against the Toronto Raptors. And they win against the Toronto Raptors 121-111. Jimmy Butler scored 26 points in that one. And this was also the game that Bam Adebayo actually has a triple-double. His only triple-double of the season with 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 14 points. I mean, Jimmy Butler missed it on purpose just to have Bam get that last rebound to get that triple-double. That was the time when Jimmy Butler was having fun with Miami. At least at the time he was. Then they go to Toronto, and I mean, really, they fallen apart against the Raptors, and they couldn't get that. They just could not get the shots in, and I mean, they could get the shots in, but Toronto was a step ahead. R.J. Barrett was ridiculous in that game, 37 points. Tyler Hero tried his best, but we lose this game 116-119. I mean, the next game was against the Boston Celtics. We don't talk about that game. 108-89, really not good. And that's when they started well, but then it fell apart. Yeah. But then the next game, 134-93 against the Lakers. Dominated the shit out of the Lakers. Everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. Jimmy Butler had a good game. Everybody had a good game. Tyler Hero too. And no problems. No problems on all this one. The month of December was probably, before Jimmy Butler was traded, was the best. They started with the big win against the Lakers. Then they beat the Suns 121-111. This is without Durant, though, fine. But they got the win regardless. But the biggest one of all, against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They would not be able to beat the Cavaliers ever again since this win. They actually did beat the Cavaliers 122-113. We beat Cleveland. This is when Cleveland was at its all-time best. And we still beat them 122-113. I still have no idea how we did it. Tyler Hero was monstrous. And that was a big win altogether. That was when they still were the blood red city culture. Heat culture. Which was awesome. That's third straight wins. Then they play against the Toronto Raptors. Had a little problems against the Raptors. But they still win this game 114-104. This is when, they were winning. They were actually winning. That's their fourth straight win. But then the next game, another overtime game against the Pistons, and the Pistons somehow, some way were able to pull it off. Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler were playing good basketball in the fourth quarter, making that ridiculous comeback to go to overtime. And Tyler, this feels like the same situation with the NBA Cup game. Overtime, we had a 8-point lead. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, it was an 8-point lead, and they could not score since because Tim Hardaway was that reason why. Very quickly, they take the lead. And they just cannot get the shot off after the Cade Cunningham layup. And it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Then the next game against the Thunder, Thunder was going to win this one. This is when Jimmy Butler left early. Speaking of Jimmy Butler, he was not playing too much games this season already. But we lose this game 104-97. And then we play against the Magic. The Magic made that unbelievable comeback in the fourth quarter. I mean, you saw the video. I was pissed off like no one. That might be the most angriest I've been all season long. The way how this team performed, especially in the fourth quarter. A fourth quarter collapse, so that's like 3 or 4 now. With many technical fouls in this game against the Magic, couple of ejections. I think one was an ejection. And still lost this game 121-114. Our largest lead was 25 points. We had a 22-point lead heading in the fourth quarter. It was 106-84. The final score was 121-114. The Miami Heat scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. 8 points. Cole Anthony came out of nowhere. Producing shots and just weren't missing. I was livid. I was very livid because Miami was not shooting the basketball. Their defense was quiet. And it was awful. It was just awful. Wrath, I call it. It was wrath. I was shell-shocked. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. The next game was against the Brooklyn Nets. They beat them 110-95, as they should. And then the Miami Heat came back and played against the Magic on the 26th of December. They did beat the Magic on the road. That was when Tyler Hero had that shot, the game-winning shot. And they beat them 98-88. Or 89-88, I should say. So there's that. There's that cake. We were down like 14 points, something like that. And we made that comeback. Not as impressive for the 22-point comeback, but hey, win is a win, right? Then they go to Atlanta, and they just had no answers against the Hawks. We lose 120 to 110. Where the hell was Butler at that point? He's been gone for a while with the stomach problems. I guess the stomach problems is when they have when I guess it lingers. But then we played against the Rockets where we were down by many points, and then we came back and beat the Rockets. Oh, and also this was when that fight broke loose with Tyler Hero and Ahmed Thompson. 6 ejected players in this one. It was awesome. It was absolutely incredible to see, and it was fun. Jerry. Look at Tyler Hill had that big smile. But we beat the Rockets in Houston, 104 to 100, and that concludes the 2024. 2025. This was when that tragedy happened in New Orleans. And the basketball team losing just maybe adds up. We beat the Pelicans 119-108. And then the next game against the Pacers, we just get dominated. We had no answers against the Pacers. And it's just bothersome that they perform like this, even with Jimmy Butler. And speaking of Jimmy Butler, when he came back in the game against the Pelicans, wasn't producing much. And then he really didn't play in the fourth quarter against the Pacers. And this was just a bad game all around. And then it came out that he was not enjoying himself with the Miami Heat. He wanted to play basketball and get his joy back, wherever that may be. And the reporter asked him, is there a way you could get your joy back here in Miami? He said probably not, and he never got his joy back at all. He in some ways he threw the Heat under the bus with the way how things have been going. I'm not saying that he's right. I'm also not saying that he's wrong. I'm in between because I see both sides of the frustration. I see it both, and I agree with both statements with him and the front office. However the case that may be, Jimmy Butler soon after would request a trade out of Miami. He wanted to leave Miami. And this is because the boss, Pat Riley, maybe or maybe Mickey Arison was treating him horribly. We don't know. We have no idea. Eventually, he would say the words of, "The truth will come out." Where is that truth? I have no idea. He got suspended for the detriment of the team, and it was just a bad situation. And speaking of bad situation, we play against the Utah Jazz, where you should have no problems with, right? But then you have your worst home loss in the regular season. You lose by 36 points against the Utah Jazz. I was livid how they performed against the Utah Jazz. To give you the context, they were going in this game 7-25, and they have no issues against the Miami Heat. This is putrid game by the Miami Heat. Then they go to the West Coast. The game you should still beat, the Sacramento Kings. 17-point lead, and then you freaking froze, and you couldn't win. You just couldn't finish the Kings off. And another fourth quarter comeback from a different team against the Miami Heat. That's another one. Oh, in overtime, you should have won in overtime. Oh, my hot cash. Fucking A. If he made those 2 free throws, we would have won this game. But we went to double in Sacramento, and we lost that game. I talk about this makes me angry. It really is. But then we go to Golden State. We had no problems against the Golden State Warriors. 114-98 win against the Warriors. This is when Curry was playing. We got to see Andrew Wiggins, too, who eventually became Heat. But, yeah, Nikola Jovic had his good game. Bam Adebayo, pretty good game. Another double-double. All things were good and considered. Next game was against the Utah Jazz. You beat the Jazz there. Why couldn't you beat them at home? 97-92. Jaime Jaquez had a good rebound game. Tyler Hero was still playing good basketball. Then you beat the Trailblazers. Not a problem against the Trailblazers. 119-98. Then you go to Los Angeles. This is around the time where wildfires was happening in Los Angeles, but you lose both games. However, you go to the new arena. You go to Intuit Dome, the brand new arena in Los Angeles. This is in Inglewood. I actually saw that arena being constructed when I was going to a Rams game a couple of years back. So that arena looks awesome. That arena looks really cool. But then we go to downtown LA, Crypto.com, and we couldn't beat the Lakers. Then we go home, play against the Denver Nuggets. Jimmy Butler makes his return. It looked like he wanted to check out. He was smiling, sure, but it's all clear that he wanted out. But regardless of what that may be, my question was, did he get his joy back? Probably not, right? Because we lose this game 133-113 against the Nuggets, we just can't beat. We just cannot beat the Nuggets, dude. However, the next game against the Spurs, this is when Spo finally does something to the Heat where the Heat fans were requesting. Why not play Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware together? And they did that, and look how well they perform against Victor Wembanyama and the rest of the team. They win this one 128-107. This was joyful to watch. This was really joyful. What wasn't joyful was the next game against the Portland Trail Blazers. Joe Cronin getting the last laugh. This motherfucking piece of shit that refused to do a trade with the Miami Heat. But even then, the Miami Heat was so disappointing to watch. This game was so disappointing. After coming off a big win against the Spurs, and they perform like that, this sucks. It really does suck. And guess what? The Heat, they suspended Jimmy Butler again for a detriment of the team. This is around the time where Mickey Arison was going in the interview having a little talk with Jimmy Butler, what they could do to resolve this problem. So, we go to Milwaukee, get absolutely obliterated in Milwaukee, 125-96. It's just upsetting to watch. Just not having fun watching no more. But then my crazy ass decided to go to Brooklyn, where the Brooklyn Nets took on the Miami Heat. And the Heat, they did pull off a win against the Brooklyn Nets, 106-97. I was really expecting a fourth quarter comeback from the Brooklyn Nets, knowing the Miami Heat. But they held on. Oh, I should point out, I forgot. I didn't even go over this. But this is when the Nuggets came in town. This is around the time where they bring in the new original Vice jerseys. They were wearing the original Vice jerseys in Brooklyn. It was a fun time in Brooklyn. Let's just say it was a pretty fun time in Brooklyn. I've been going to that arena for about maybe for 6 years now, and it is not often than not that I get to see my favorite team beats them in Brooklyn. So I cherish this moment every single day, dude. So that was fun. Then we go back home, play against the Magic, where they beat the Magic in double overtime. The Miami Heat was still able to say, hey, Florida still burns red. It was awesome. The fourth quarter was pretty good. It was a competitive overtime, but the Miami Heat got the last one with Bam Adebayo getting some really nice shots in double overtime, which was awesome. Tyler Hero scored 30 points in that one. That was a big win. Jimmy Butler still suspended, though. Cavaliers beat the shit out of us, 126-106. Yeah. February now. This is the month that everyone wants to hear. They go to San Antonio. It was a tough, competitive game. This is without Victor Wembanyama. But Bam Adebayo with that walk-off shot to beat the Spurs, 105-103. But then, this is the start of many fourth quarter collapse. This is another one here against Chicago Bulls. They should have beat the Bulls here. 133-124 loss. This is when Buzelis was not missing at all. And then Josh Giddey became the pest of the team against the Miami Heat. And it was just incredibly frustrating. It was so frustrating. I was screaming at the front office to fucking make the trade already. But then finally, against the 76ers, this is in the second quarter. When the second quarter of the game came along for the Miami Heat against 76ers, it happened. Finally. the Jimmy Butler saga is finally over. Um, they have traded Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and many players. This would end up being a 5-team trade. The Warriors would get Jimmy Butler. So this was, I guess, relieving. I don't know. Or it might not be relieving. But it's safe to say he found his joy back in San Francisco. But still, the Heat win this one 108-101 against the 76ers. So there's that as well. And that's funny too that Kevin Love and the bench were being informed by the team by the fan right behind them about the Jimmy Butler trade. So that was kind of funny. That was kind of funny to say the least. But then after that trade, when all that's being said, with players saying that we got some clarity and blah blah blah, they felt relieved and they have some clarity and all that. More misery for the Miami Heat just continued, and this is where I feel like Heat culture was just gone, dead. There was a time where it meant something to me, you know. The next game against the Brooklyn Nets, the Heat should have won this game. They really should have won this game. But then you were outscored 31-9 in the fourth quarter. They scored 9 points in the fourth quarter. 9. That's as embarrassed as I was. I seen it coming. This is why I made that crazy decision to go to Brooklyn the first time. Originally, I was going to go to this one, but I ended up going to the one in January. Man, what correct move I made! I'm telling you, man, you had to pick your chances. But they lose this one 102-86 against a team that sucks, and you scored 9 fourth quarter points. That's putrid defending. And guess what? We play the Celtics, get blown out. We play the Thunder, get blown out. So what about the Dallas Mavericks? What about the Dallas Mavericks? This is a team where they have nobody. I don't think Luka was even there no more. I think they traded away Luka, right? So this is a game you should win, right? You still lose this one 118-113. The best thing that came out of this was All-Star break. I swear to you. I was so hyped for the All-Star break. I don't even want to watch this team no more. That All-Star break ended after 9 days, 8 days. We go to Toronto. We beat them. This has been Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins played in Toronto, where he's from, or Canada, where he's from, and we beat the Raptors 120-111 in overtime. Then the Heat played against the Bucks in Milwaukee, had a pretty good chance of beating them, but ultimately lost with another fourth quarter comeback from a different team. And it's just silly at this point. And of course, it's Dame time. But Tyler Hero scoring 40 points, he's just amazing. You know, and I should point out in the All-Star thing, when Tyler Hero was an All-Star, he won a 3-point contest, which was awesome. He regressed after. Then we go to Atlanta. We had no game at all against the Atlanta Hawks. We were not good against the Atlanta Hawks on the road. We lost this game 98-86. It was a pretty bad game altogether. But then the next two games, the games I went to, Atlanta Hawks were in town. We beat them 131-109 against the Hawks. This was the fourth quarter surge for the Miami Heat for once. Actually, the third quarter surge. We outscored the Hawks 42-98 in the third quarter, and then we finished off the Hawks in the fourth quarter. Pretty good performance. Then an upset. To me, it's an upset because the way how the Heat team has been playing, this is an upset win against the Pacers. We win this one 125-120. It was a really cool game to go to, and I was happy that I got to see that happen against the Pacers. Davion Mitchell, who we traded from the Raptors, which was astonishing. He scored many 3-pointers, and ultimately won us the game. Then March, the Heat's worst month. We get outscored in the fourth quarter, of course, and we blew a lead in the fourth quarter because of course. And we lost in overtime. This was a game we should have had. Really should have had this game. But didn't. Then the game against the Washington Wizards, where the Heat play good basketball. And this is the one where Bam Adebayo scoring many double-doubles finally passed Ronnie Cycli. All-time double-doubles list passed him, and he's now a Heat king. But then the Heat beat the Wizards team 106-90. Feeling's good. Then 10-game losing streaks start from here. Majority of those were fourth quarter collapse. We lose to the Cavaliers, and I'll be a controversial loss. Duncan Robinson is still not out of bounds. I stand by it. We lost this game 112-107. It was the closest game to beat the Cavaliers. Then they lose to the Wolves at home, where the Heat felt like they should have had it. They should have finished this one. But you give it to Bam Adebayo to get the game-winning shots. Where's the foul? First of all, where's the foul? Second of all, why Bam? Makes no sense. The Bulls' loss was worse because you actually had a chance to win this one, but you didn't. You get outscored 36-20. That's 4 straight losses. Oh, but the Hornets' loss was just as bad. It was just as bad of a loss. You were doing so well in the first quarter, collapsed in the second, and you never outscored the Hornets again. And then you lost this game 105-102. I was screaming, "You fucking suck, Heat!" And I stand by what I said. I was right. They were horrible. They were flat out horrible. That's 5-game losing streak. Then they can play against the Clippers, blowout. That's 6 straight losses. Then they played against the Grizzlies. No Ja Morant, shorthanded. Guess what? Still get blown out. That's 7 straight losses. Then they go to New York. Get blown out on national television. That's 8 straight losses. And with 8 straight losses, that is the worst Erik Spoelstra has coached. Worst coaching season for Erik Spoelstra ever. Nope, he has never lost 8 straight with the Miami Heat ever. But it gets much worse, folks. Believe it or not. It gets much worse. Then they play against the Pistons. They should have won this game either, but then Cade Cunningham with the 3-pointer to beat us 116-113. I knew the moment that ball was released that was going to go in, and we lost this game. Sick as a dog. I just didn't want to talk much about it. 9 straight losses. Then Houston, another fourth quarter collapse. And we lose game 102-98. Fred VanVleet was that reason. And now you lost 10 straight games under Erik Spoelstra. Embarrassing. Finally, the losing streak comes to an end. You beat the Hornets. Not only that, you blew out the Hornets, 122-105. TNT, Jimmy Butler's return. Blew out the Warriors, 112-86. Really, now where was this performance? Not bad for a Jimmy Butler spoiled return, right? So that was fantastic. I was happy to look at. I was happy to watch it. Then the Heat finished off the Hawks with some big shots. They held off. They held their hand. It started off terribly, but the Heat made this comeback in the third quarter. So that's 4 straight wins? No, 3 straight wins. Then they go to Philadelphia, blew out the Sixers. That's 4 straight wins. Then they beat the Wizards 129-4. No surprise there. So 5-game winning streak. But the ultimate surprise of them all was beating the Boston Celtics. Not only beating the Celtics, blew out the Celtics in TD Garden 124-103. They beat them and blew them out on the road. And that's with Kyle Anderson making some great shots. 6 straight wins. But then a devastating loss. To me, a devastating loss when Ja Morant finally played against the Heat after 4 years and got that game-winning shot against the Miami Heat. That sucked. A game against the Milwaukee Bucks, you should have won this game. But they didn't. because another fourth quarter collapse. Another fourth quarter collapse. I see, and I'm getting worked up with these fourth quarters. And then you didn't even try. Bam Adebayo's the only one that tried, but then Antetokounmpo was the reason why the Heat lost this game. It sucks. You bounce back against the Sixers, cool. But then, believe it or not, folks, believe it or not, the Bulls yet make a comeback, and it's when Josh Giddey became a star. We lose this game 119 to 111 against the Bulls, really sealing it right there that the Heat was going to be the 10th seed, and we were going to play the Chicago Bulls. But then we go to New Orleans with a highest scoring game ever in franchise history with 153 points against the Pelicans. 153-104 win over the Pelicans. That was a devastating win for the Heat. Devastating. And the final game of the regular season, where you gave up a game winner. This is when Josh Christopher made that stupid turnover. And Wizards would get that big shot to win this game against the Heat, 119-118. This is the game you probably should have won, but there's really nothing at stake there. So the play-in starts. But you blew out the Bulls, 109-90 against Chicago Bulls. This is where the debate comes in. And then they beat the Hawks in overtime. A really good game. People like me were excited. Get swept against the Cavaliers. Because you advance to the 8th seed and you get smoked by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So what was the point of that? But yeah, that's their season. So, what went right for the Miami Heat? Well, let's see here. What went right? Tyler Hero. I think Tyler Hero's All-Star season was incredible. Averaging 30 points a game in a lot of games. Some games he scored 40, which was fantastic. I think Tyler Hero was amazing in the season. Bam Adebayo with the consistent double-double season he keeps getting. Are we getting some aggression with Bam Adebayo finally? Maybe. The 6-game winning streak was gone right. See, they can win some big games. They just need to be coached right and make some decisions from the coach Spo. What went wrong with the Miami Heat? Everything. Let me just say this. Roster moves and not being able to get much from the offseason really does damage for the Miami Heat. That was Jimmy Butler's frustration, and you can understand the frustration with Jimmy Butler. So he quit on the Miami Heat. That went horribly wrong for the Miami Heat. To just say that, yeah, this is where the Heat. The Heat roster was just discombobulated. It was discombobulated because everything was just shambles. They're not having fun. They're not winning games that they should, and it just went wrong. It just went wrong for the Miami Heat. And also, too, with Jimmy Butler leaving, it really caused us to trying to get the direction of getting some younger talent. Fine, but Andrew Wiggins, I don't know about Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if Andrew Wiggins is the answer. So I think that trade what's ended up getting wrong too. And the situation with Pat Riley, Mickey Harrison, somehow have this idea that, hey, yeah, we're still a contender. We're still going to be compete for the championship. You know what, though? Are you really going to say that, yeah, this is the team, this is a Heat championship caliber team? No, it's not. I've been saying it for a long time. Everybody's been saying it for a long time. This is not a championship team. So that's another what went wrong. It's the front office delusion that we're going to compete. What to do going forward? Well, let's see. Here's my predictions and my opinions. Because already we're seeing Stephen A. saying Pat Riley needs to go. And I agree. Pat Riley should step down. He should step down as president and executive. Pick somebody new. Maybe Eric Spoelstra should be the president of basketball operations for the Miami Heat. I think so. I don't know, man. I think that should be what moving forward. But if not, which most likely it will not be, what do? Make a trade. You gotta get a superstar. You gotta get someone like Trae Young, John Morant, or Kevin Durant. You gotta get one of those three. You gotta do it because, like, look, we don't have a legit point guard no more. We don't have a point guard no more. We don't have a superstar no more. Like Jimmy Butler's gone off to the Warriors. They're probably gonna win against the Houston Rockets. We got nobody. We got nobody to say, hey, yeah, we're a contender. We are a good roster team that might do damage. You gotta get one of those guys. You gotta do it. This has to be a busy off season. You don't run it back. If you run it back, then you have to step down. And first off, another thing too with Mickey Arison. One more point with the front office. He's got to stop being cheap. He's got to stop being a cheap son of a bitch to the Miami Heat. He's got to stop that because that's Bruce Sherman's problem. Why is it Mickey Arison's problem to be a fucking cheap bastard? It's not fair for the Heat. It's not fair for the Heat fans, especially for the loyal ones like myself who really craves winning, and that's all we know is winning. So another thing, what do you do moving forward? Well, one thing is a superstar, like I said. You got to get Kevin Durant. You got to get Trae Young. Maybe even John Morant. You got to get somebody. You got to get a good caliber player, a strong superstar caliber player for the Miami Heat. You got to freaking do it. Make a trade to make that happen. You could trade some of your future assets. Let's go with that one. Second, what they should do, re-sign Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell should be in a safe category for the Miami Heat. They have to re-sign Davion Mitchell. I'm happy with Davion Mitchell. I think he's a really good player. He fits the system with the Miami Heat, and he can do a lot of hurt moving forward. Make him have that bag. And for Tyler Hero too, who wants to demand a max extension, think about that long and hard after the All-Star season he had, but a really miserable playoff performance in Game 4. Think about that for a few days or so. Think about that because he is going to be extension eligible. He is going to be. But do you want to give him a max extension with Tyler Hero? And also too, him being honest that we need Jimmy Butler, or they love the Cavaliers defense on him. What the hell was that? I mean, honesty is pretty good with the players. I love the honesty, but the game, the playing basketball speaks more volume. I don't know if he deserves a max extension. I really don't. To be honest, I don't know. I'm in between. I am in between with Tyler Hero. I do think he deserves the money, but I don't know if max extension is what he deserves. I think that's bad for the team. I think if you're gonna pay him respectfully and not overpay him, where you can still have some leftover money for somebody else who would be deserving of a big pay. I don't know, man. Front office has a lot to do this offseason to get the Miami Heat back to winning ways. This was a miserable Miami Heat season and one to really forget. This is a forgettable season. And, I don't remember much no more after talking about this, to be honest. Let's just be honest. I don't remember anything no more. Because this season is so forgettable. But I guess what to say is, good riddance, the season is over. So, I don't know. I'm sorry if you hear the neighbors. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, man. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. And thank you all so much for being with me from the beginning all the way to the end. Despite everything, I still had a good time talking to you guys. I had a blast making these YouTube videos for you guys. I had a blast talking to the camera, talking to you guys. Even though I get some comments from there and there about, the Heat suck or things like that. Despite that, I had a good time. You have your opinions. I have my opinions. At the end of the day, you're just watching sports. You're just watching basketball. You get to talk about it. You get to be angry about it. And that's a passion. That's only the passion that you have with the team. And that's a passion you have with the game. It's fun. It's really fun to talk about it. Some nights are not fun. It's like playing a video game. You played NBA 2K, you had a miserable career, and you had to start over, right? You can do that with every season possible. So it's like the video game. You're having fun, watching a game, talking about it, having a discussion with your friends, maybe do a podcast with each other. But yeah, I had fun doing it. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, it's all about having fun. This season was not fun, and that's me being honest. But some games were fun. But more importantly, talking on the camera, talking to you guys, and posting it, that's fun for me. And I'm not going to stop anytime soon. As much as I like to, sometimes I get that burnout feeling. I'm not going to stop. I'm just not going to stop because I'm having fun. That's all it is at the end of the day. But yeah, man, let me know what your thoughts in the comments down below. My God, it's 50 minutes. I had a lot to say. But yeah, man, that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to stop talking because I've been rambling. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for content if you like. And please subscribe if you're new. For the Miami Heat, we're definitely going to have some offseason talk when something happens. And we're gonna go back doing the Summer League videos because Summer League was fun. They actually won a Summer League championship last year. Maybe we could do it again. We'll see what happens in the summertime. And yeah, man, that's gonna do it. And I'll see you guys later tonight for a Miami Marlins game. And yeah, man, everybody have a good rest of your day.